I am looking forward to sharing with you tonight for the leadership lesson for the fully devoted affiliates with Jan and Danielle. Just a big thank you to Jan and Danielle for inviting me to share with the group. Always grateful for the opportunity to share, just especially in areas where I'm passionate. And of course, my heart is that you walk away from this leadership lesson with some super practical things that you're going to be able to put into action immediately. Okay, that is my heart, and that is my goal. And of course, wouldn't that make sense if I titled this "Take Action Now"? I really want you to take action now. So let's kick this thing off with asking you, I want you to type in the comments the answer to this question. What are you procrastinating on that you know you should be doing when it comes to your business? What are you procrastinating on that you know you should be doing in your business? I want to see some comments on what are you procrastinating on that you know you should be doing in your business, because procrastination is the real thing, and it can cause us all kinds of challenges if we aren't acknowledging that it is indeed something that we should be looking at, considering, and figuring out how we fight against it. So I'm while you're typing your comments, I'm actually posting, just inviting some more folks so they can see that I am on live and hopefully can benefit from the broadcast. Okay, follow up with clients, setting up for a paid texting service. Oh my goodness, Penny, I am right there with you on that. I so need to do it. I've yet to do it. And so yes, and more yes, I'm right there with you. Doing weekly Facebook Live posts. All right, Miss Terry, thank you for joining us, by the way. So what are you procrastinating on? Asking to host and connecting with people. Yes. I mean, if we're not asking, we're not going to ever have any hosts, right? I mean, they are not just picking up the phone and going, hey, I think I want to host a show. It rarely happens. It does happen, but it rarely happens. Hey, Jan, good to see you. Thank you. I was just saying thank you to you for inviting me to speak to the group. So for those of you just tuning in, I was asking you, what are you procrastinating right now that you know you should be doing? Because I want you to have something in mind that will that you're going to be able to take action on immediately based on the things that we talk about tonight. So that's where we're going to start, is where are you procrastinating? What I want to say on the onset is procrastination is the number one killer of success. I'm going to say that one more time. Procrastination is the number one killer of success. And so if you're wanting to be successful in life and in business, then you will have to address the procrastination tendencies that you struggle with. It won't be enough to just say, well, that's just the way that I am. I'm just a procrastinator. Because in saying that, you're excusing that behavior, which means how likely are you to do the things that you know you should be doing if you're constantly excusing yourself for not doing the things that you know you should be doing? You know what I'm saying? So that is something that I wanted to say. The other thing that I want to say from the onset is I want you to think progress over perfection. Progress over perfection, okay? It is really hard to try new things when you think that you have to be perfect from the onset. Because last I checked, there was only one perfect person that walked the earth who did it right the first time, all the time, and there was never any variation from that. The rest of us are going to not do it perfectly the first time. So it's important that we understand it's progress over perfection. You know, I first learned this when we moved from, maybe I didn't first learn it, but man, I had the opportunity to put it into practice, this progress over perfection when we moved from Florida to Texas. Okay, that's 10 years ago next month. How is that even possible? 10 years ago next month that we moved here to Texas. But listen, you gotta know that when we moved here, Fred and I were like, oh, we're gonna totally get this Re-Business Start thing like nobody. I mean, we're gonna rock it. Like Elizabeth Aranya Draper was like, you need to give yourself 12 months. And we were like, 12 months? I mean, 6 weeks, baby. We are going to be rocking it in Texas. Go ahead and ask me how that went. No, it didn't go. I mean, I remember that first month, in my mind, I was going to be rocking it in 6 weeks. And that first month when I had 0 sales, I had not really made any connections. And I was like crying in the floor of my closet, people. And I was procrastinating doing what I needed to do. I remember Fred, telling me like, you need to get up and go get your nails done. Like, go talk to somebody. So anyway, so why do I share that story with you? Because I get it. I also have procrastinated. I have to fight against this. We all do. We're in this together, okay? Early on, after we moved, something that I learned to say to myself about this idea of progress over perfection, right? That's why I went off on that tangent of that story. I did have a purpose behind it. Progress over perfection. Part of what I said to myself to help me get some progress going was, I have jewelry and I want to show it. I have jewelry and I want to show it. And then I added, I have jewelry and people want to see it. I have jewelry and there are people out there who want to buy it. I have jewelry and there are people out there who will be blessed to have friends and family together. Like, I had all of these positive things that I was saying surrounding that I had jewelry and I needed to do something with it. Now we would say, I have devoted product and I want to show it. I have devoted product and people are going to want to see it. I have devoted product and people will actually want to buy it. I have devoted product and people will love earning rewards when they purchase it. And I have devoted, you get the idea? Progress over perfection. And so if we're going to really begin to fight this idea of procrastination, I want to talk to you a little bit about something called the law of diminishing intent. Now, the reason why I can even tell you about the law of diminishing intent, I had never heard it spoken of that way. But part of my Take Action Now story that I will be sharing with you as I go through is that God used COVID to create a shift in mine and Fred's life. And that included going through a 100-hour certification to be what I am now, a sales and leadership coach with Southwestern Coaching. I'm not the only one in the devoted family that is part of Southwestern Coaching. Francine Ivy, Lori Ray, and Kylie Robinson are also, we're all on the same team. But I went through 100 hours of certification, and many of the things that I learned were things that I've been taught through my 19 years of Premier, now devoted. There were things that I learned that I gathered when I got my teaching degree back from the University of South Florida. But what it did help me to do is to be able to verbalize and articulate in a way that can help people understand, where am I procrastinating and how do I take action now? So this, back to the law of diminishing intent. Here's how it works. We have good intentions, okay? We have good intentions. We say, I want to do those lives. I want to get a paid texting service. I know I need to contact my customers. I know I need to send out an email. We are well-intentioned when we say that. But the more time that goes by, our intentions diminish. Thus, we call it the law of diminishing intent. So the longer we wait to act on something we know we should do, the less likely we are to do it. Can I get an amen from somebody who's watching that knows this to be true? The longer we take to act on something, the less likely we are to do it. to do it. So this idea of the law of diminishing intent is extraordinarily important in our lives. And I'm not talking about just in our business life. We have law of diminishing intent in our personal life as well. You can be saying, I need to work out. I need to like get my body into shape. I need to eat better. Like you intend to do it. But what happens is we just say, well, I'll work on that tomorrow. I'll start that exercise program next week. Right? And you're right. It is like the Nike commercial. Just do it. That is the idea of take action. Now, here's the thing. We can say, I know I need to just do it, but we got to get beyond this procrastination situation that we find ourselves in. So something that I want to encourage you before you get off of this live tonight is this. Because we all have the ability to put off tomorrow what should be done today, I'm going to encourage you that you write down a specific goal that you know, of something that you know you should possibly have already done, but for sure you know you need to do it. And then I want you to create a deadline for it getting done. Okay, so you're going to write down a specific goal and you're going to create a deadline for getting it done. And then tonight, before you go to bed, you are going to start doing something, regarding that goal immediately. Okay, now if eating is part of your goal, that could be you don't have that snack at 10 o'clock at night. That's how you start. You go, no. I'm not going to do that because I made a commitment to a goal and Elizabeth said I need to act tonight before I go to bed. All right. Or if that's, I need to mail out brochures to people so that I can encourage sales for the holiday season. That means you get on your computer to your reports, you pull up your rewards customers or past gym members that they'll show inactive, and you get labels ready. You prepare the envelopes, you label the catalogs, whatever it is. Or if you don't have catalogs, you purchase the catalogs. Okay, you get the idea, right? Because I'm kind of on a little bit of a soapbox. Do something tonight to see your goal realized, okay? So that law of diminishing intent, here's how you're going to go from should do, all right? Because that's where we get to. We get into this habit of I should do that. I should make those calls. I should text those people. I should check out my report. I should. When you create a deadline, you also create urgency. And when you create urgency, your should-do list should become a must-do list. I must do this. And so this is where we want to be. Now, what's interesting is Southwestern has put together, they track statistics year-round. It's a 165-year-old company, so they got statistics going back for a long time. But one of the studies that they partnered with, actually it was conducted by Kelton, in partnership with Southwestern. They did a global research initiative on this. Listen to this. 1 in 2 Americans made a resolution at the beginning of the year, but nearly half, or 47% of those people, stopped following through on their goals at some point throughout the year. Now, it's interesting. Have you were like doing something that worked, and it's like, next thing you know, you heard a new idea or someone else said, oh, this is really working for me. And then you start doing that something and you totally forget about the thing that you were doing that was working for you. And halfway through the year, you don't remember it anymore. And then you wonder like why things aren't working in your business. Am I speaking to anybody on that? What I've had to start doing for myself is I've had to really limit the amount of exposure I have given to my mind about quote unquote what I should be doing. When I allow a bunch of other people to speak into what I should be doing to the neglect of what I already know I have decided to do in my business, or the must-dos based on my life, my situation, my goals, where I want to go, I can end up losing track of what I must be doing, and I get into, well, I should do this. Well, so-and-so said I should do this, and I should do that, and I should do this. And here's the thing that I want to encourage you with, that All farmers should plant, but not all farmers plant the same thing. Because all farmers know their crop, their field. They know their seasonal weather. They know when they get rain. They know when the earth tends to be dry. They know when they have issues with critters. I mean, like, all farmers know they should plant, yes. But not all farmers plant the same crop, because they live in different areas. So if I could encourage you on one thing, be careful that you're not so busy listening to all the shoulda, you should do, without thinking about where you are, what your circumstances are, what your field looks like, what your weather issue patterns are, and instead really begin to focus on setting those goals, creating the deadline, and making it go from a should do to a must do that works within your season of life, your family situation. I can hear Joan Horner now on the National Rally stage on Friday night when she would give her Gems from Joan. And one of the things that she said every year that I heard her speak, whether it was on Friday night or one other time, some other time during National Rally, is she would say, you know what? Whatever season of life you're in, work your business accordingly, so that your kids aren't hanging on your leg going, mommy, 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 and you're ignoring them because you're so busy with all the should do's that other people are telling you about. Okay? So what I find is that leads to burnout. And I believe that Joan knew that as well. And it's why she constantly encouraged us in that. And so it's just important. I just want to say, yes, we need to go to must-dos, but it's important that we are keeping in mind that our field is located in a different place, and our crop might look a little bit different than, our sister affiliate, okay? Here's the thing, what's interesting about this study. Struggling with resolutions is universal. There is no distinguishable demographic trait, gender, age, income, or parental status that made respondents more or less likely to succeed. Okay, so let's just say that right now. No particular demographic that made someone more likely to succeed. So we have aside from going from should have to must have on our own personal goal list, we have to get out of, well, if I were more like so-and-so, then, because she's more likely to succeed, so I just need to be more like her. And please hear my heart. I'm not saying that we should not emulate people who are being successful. What I'm saying is we tend to think I'm not able because of my age or how many kids I have, or, the whatever the dynamics are in my sphere. And what they were saying is that no demographic trait, gender, age, income, or parental status made someone more or less likely to succeed. So knowing that, are you willing to take ownership for where you are and consider what have you been wanting to do, but the law of diminishing intent has come in, and you've just allowed so much time to go by that you've not done it, and you started out with good intentions, but it just didn't happen. I think the sooner we can acknowledge and go, yep, that's me, we are going to be much more likely to take action, okay? One thing I will say, that you need to be doing something more than 30 days in order for it to really take hold, and then you need to keep doing it. You need to keep doing it. So that's important as well. What part of the study found that those who could continue actually doing what they resolved to do after 30 days were more likely to continue it once that 30-day period ended. I thought that was super important. Okay, so I want you tonight, before you go to bed, to consider making a must-do list. What was that one thing that you said you need to do, but you've been procrastinating? based on that, I want you to make a must-do list, and it needs to be specific and it needs to have deadlines. It would sound like this: by tomorrow night, I will have ordered my brochures. I'm just throwing that out there, right? If you haven't ordered brochures and you know that one of the things you need to do is to mail them out, you got to order them to get them, right? So that's an important aspect. And then decide, what one thing are you going to do before you go to bed tonight? Okay, simple enough. So that's one of the things that you can do. And I like, I see what you're saying there, Jan. I feel like I have so much to do that I end up doing nothing. This is so important. So let me just address that, because I think that's really so valuable. The value of having a must-do list. I'm going to encourage you every day. I want you to think, I'm going to accomplish the top 2 things on my must-do list. The top 2 things on my must-do list. Something that I learned from going through that 100 hours of certification, and I wanted to bring it up to see if it would allow me to be able to show it to you, possibly. We'll see. Was I thought I was a good time manager. I mean, like most of you who know me and you've known me for any length of time, I manage quite a few things, quite a few schedules, that type of thing. But what I learned is, I had more to learn. And so I implemented the system that we teach our clients, clients that I'm coaching presently right now. And let me tell you, it is revolutionary, like seriously revolutionary. Because it really made it just made a huge difference for me. And I don't think I can like manipulate my phone to be able to show it to you. Maybe I'll try before I close out. Okay, let me get to these procrastination styles, because I really wanted to hit procrastination tonight and really address what we can do to change our behavior. Okay. So my heart is that if you're in this group, if you're watching this, you know this is a leadership lesson, then that somewhere within you want to be a leader. You are already a leader and you want to grow as a leader, or you want to continue to sponsor affiliates and you want to grow as a leader. But the bottom line is, if you're watching something that says leadership lesson, then you're wanting to lead. So if we're going to be a leader, then let's determine that we're willing to look at what is preventing us from taking action. Okay, listen to this definition of procrastination. It's the action of delaying or postponing something. Delaying or postponing something. Okay, so I want to give you 3 styles of procrastination that could be affecting you, and it could be more than one. I know, that doesn't sound so positive. Here's what I know. If you can begin to identify the areas of procrastination that are hindering you, it can make a huge difference in your life and in your business. Okay, number 1. Procrastination as just the word, procrastination, where you are consciously delaying something that you know you should be doing. You're consciously delaying it. Okay, so if you look at, if you were to look at my schedule, something that I've learned to do now is I do not check emails first thing in the morning. Don't do it. Don't do it, because emails will cause you to procrastinate. Like, you can wake up knowing I need to contact my customers, and you can get on your email and you go, but I got to get this email done. And so you'll know in your mind you should be texting or making calls to your customers, but you'll get on your email and you'll start working through your email, and you'll rationalize that because I'm on my email, I'm doing work. And what happens is you end up not ever making the phone calls. Procrastination. You're consciously choosing to delay what should be done. Okay, let's talk about how that also looks, right? Like, I got my water. I know I need to make calls. I got my list in front of me, or I need to send those text messages, and I'm like, oh, my water's a little low. I think I'll go downstairs and get me some refreshed ice water. And then I get downstairs like, oh, wait, you know what? Those clothes are in the wash machine, and I need to move them over to the dryer. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot that I haven't made the bed yet. I better get in there and take care of that because, making the bed, I'm like doing something productive like right away. And next thing you know, 2 hours has passed and you didn't make a single phone call or send a single text message because you consciously, like you knew you needed to do it, but you were consciously focusing on other things that were keeping you from doing what you needed to do. I'm noticing that I have no emojis happening. So I wonder why that is. Is that maybe something different now on the cell phone? I don't usually go live on my cell phone very often. So I guess I don't get any emoji loves on here. Okay, that's procrastination. Second procrastination is creative avoidance. Creative avoidance. So let's talk about this. This is where you're unconsciously filling the day with menial work to be busy being busy. Oh, I said it. Being busy being busy. We would call these distractions. Okay, so let's just get real here. You all post a comment on what are some menial work where you can feel busy or feel good about being busy, but yet you're distracted, okay? So what are some things that you do where you are creatively avoiding? Unconsciously, you get caught up just doing busy work. What is that for you? I wanna see what you have to say because this is what I wanna, while you're commenting, let me tell you about creative avoidance. Did you know that the most expensive invisible business cost is creative avoidance? Oh, cleaning the kitchen. Oh, yes. Cleaning the kitchen. Okay, I hear you. That is so very you. Okay, well, this is good. Acknowledging it is an excellent place to be, right? Because we cannot correct what we do not understand is going on. So this creative avoidance is important. It's the most expensive cost in business, right? This idea of unconsciously procrastinating where we know we need to do something, but we get so caught up in being busy. So I see laundry, folding laundry, okay, checking the kids' schoolwork. That could be an important aspect of what you do, especially if they're being schooled at home. But I've not seen one of the posts right here, ADHD. I hear you, Beth Rainey. You gotta rein it in, right? And so you have to find ways to keep yourself focused on what you need to do. I would think with ADHD, all the more you need to have a really tightly run schedule to keep yourself super straightening up the files. I love it. Okay, here's the thing. I have not seen a single person post, I scroll Facebook. I scroll Facebook so I can find people I should be contacting. Anybody? Oh yeah, there's Jan being on Facebook. Or I'm on Instagram, scrolling Instagram. And next thing you know, I find that I'm, hearting and, loving all the stuff that my fellow devoted affiliates are doing. And then I start thinking, wow, man, I wish I could be so savvy on Instagram. Maybe if I were younger and I could take better Instagram photos, I might have a better Instagram, actual presence. And then maybe I would actually, you get the idea. You get, so you're eating. I was going to say that. Okay, good. So it's important that we understand that scrolling Facebook or scrolling the Instagram feed, you can tell yourself that you're gathering ideas from other people. If that's keeping you from making those calls or texting those customers or mailing out those brochures, then you're creatively avoiding. That's the second form of procrastination. The third form of procrastination is priority dilution. Okay, let me explain. Priority dilution. This is consciously delaying by allowing your attention to shift to less important tasks. We would call these interruptions, okay? So here's how this looks. You know that you need to make those calls, send those texts, mail those brochures. Let's say you're going to mail the brochures, right? You know you need to, and you go to start, and then your phone, like you're like, I should probably check my text messages. And maybe you're like, well, I should probably text my husband and see how he's doing. Not that you shouldn't text your husband, please hear my heart. But we begin to shift our attention, or we go, oh, but I'm dying to check my email. Maybe I have some orders, and like I have to pull out my email so I know whether or not I have some orders. And then next thing you know, you're on your email, and now you become reactionary versus being proactive. So it's really important that we understand what are our areas of procrastination. Do we just consciously put it off? Like we know we should do it, and we just consciously say, I don't want to do it. Okay. Are we creatively avoiding where we're filling our time with busy work and we're avoiding what we know we should be doing? Or are we priority dilution? We are diluting down our priority by getting distracted or allowing ourselves to be interrupted. Okay. So it's important that we understand that style, and then we actually look at how are we going to fight against the procrastination. All right, so let's talk about that. All right, 7 characteristics of income producing activities. I'm not going to do 7. I'm gonna whittle that down and just give you some key, a shorter list because I'm looking at my time. Okay. Taking action now means you got to prioritize the best actions to take. And I saw someone earlier post a comment about, it can be right things, but not at the right time. Most of you posted things that aren't bad things. They are right things to do. It's doing the right things at the right time so that you are maximizing your time to get the results that you want. And the thing that we need to be prioritizing as top, in terms of some of the top priority, are what we would call, okay, now I'm going to speak business here, okay? I'm going to go straight into, if you want to grow your business, which likely means you want to grow your income, then you need to know what your income producing activities are. And scrolling Facebook is not one of them, okay? So income producing activities, what is going to help you generate more income? In our business, it's showing product, okay? So however that looks for you. Some people are doing a ton of Facebook parties. I have been relying on in-person events because I can. And I'm having some awesome in-person events, and I'm super grateful for that. And I realize that's not an option for everyone. You have to, though, focus on showing your product. If you're going to sell more, when you show more product, you are going to sell more product, okay? I have product and I want to show it. That's what I told myself when we moved to Texas, because I knew I had to get my product out there. Another income producing activity is what's gonna save me money? What's gonna save me money? Is there something that I can do that will save me money? Where I am able, like something that we did, we cut cable. Not only does it save us money, but you know what? I'm better using my time because I'm not watching The Voice or World of Dance or I can't think of one of the other ones that I used to watch. But you know what? I cut the cable, so I don't have those. I don't have those as an option anymore. So guess what? I'm not watching the television nearly as much, or the DVR programs nearly as much as I was, which means I'm being more effective with my time. And so again, what's going to save you money? A third one is what's going to help you retain an existing client or customer, okay? So like Penny talked about having a paid texting subscription. That can help a lot in retaining existing customers because it allows you to stay in contact with them more, to push out what those sales are, to push out what the weekly deals are, okay? And so you've got to look at what's going to help you retain those clients. Like looking at your report to determine who has rewards that are expiring, and you make those your top priority to text between now and Sunday, right? Because if those rewards expire by the 30th and you haven't done what you needed to do to remind your customers, how are you going to feel on December 1st when your customer possibly texts you and says, a big portion of my rewards are gone. And then you think, oh man, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and now my customer's upset, and now we get into this mental struggle of shoulda, coulda, woulda, I'm terrible. We get into this negative downward spiral, and then how likely do you think we are to actually do the thing that we know we're supposed to do because we just had this negative experience? Now, for some people, they're gonna be like, I'm never letting that happen again, and other people are like, ugh, they get so down on themselves, they become paralyzed. So what I want you to think about is, what do you need to do in order to retain your current customers? That's an income producing activity, okay? Super, super important. Okay, fourth thing, what is going to guarantee to save you drastic amounts of time? What is guaranteed to save you drastic amounts of time? This is huge. Something that I just did, or that I've been working on really over the last couple of years, but I've really tightened it up even more. Okay, if you're an iUser, an iPhone, iPad, iMac, Macintosh, there is something called Notes. It's accessible from all iDevices because it's stored in the cloud. And I have learned to store links that I need to access quickly, to store information that I need to access quickly, so that whether I'm on the go, on my iPhone, if I'm on my iPad at the church or wherever I am, I can easily get to this saved information. That's a drastic time saver because you put it in one common location and you can always access it. And please know that if you're a Windows user, there is hope for you also. There is something called OneNote. If you are subscribed to Microsoft 365, OneNote is accessible in the cloud. And again, you can organize your notes tremendously, and you can access it from any device from which you have either the Notes, the OneNote app installed, whether it's on your, for me, I have OneNote on my iPad, on my laptop, on my phone, so I can access it from anywhere. That's a drastic time saver, okay? Let me just go to this last one. An income producing activity is when you can identify something that only you can do, okay? Only you can do. Listen, one of the best things that we ever did early on in our premier business is we hired high schoolers. We would hire a high school gal to come in, and not only would she watch our boys when we'd go to training, or if I had an event or something like that, and once they went to bed, I started having them do office work. So, back in the day, it was stamping order forms or catalogs, stickering catalogs, entering customer data. To this day, I still have a high schooler. She's a junior in high school. I'll keep her until she graduates as a senior at the end of 2022. But she does all my filing. She organizes all of my receipts. She enters in all of the receipts because I don't have to do that. That is not a good use of my time. I pay her $8.50 to do that for me, okay? And it's not a ton of money, but it's a huge time saver for me. That's the first thing. And it allows me to do the things that only I can do, okay? So that's something that I wanted to share with you that I think is important. Let me wrap up with this. And by wrap up, I mean, it might be 3 points in a poem. No, I'm just joking. That's kind of a church reference. But I just thought it would be kind of fun to say that. Some of you will get what I just said. Others of you, it will be like a humor grenade. Like, an hour down the road, you'll go, oh, yeah, I understand that now. And if you don't get it, it's totally fine. Here's the thing about take action now. I want you to repeat after me. Action cures fear. Or you might say, action helps me overcome fear. Or you could say, action gives me victory over fear. So let's talk about this, and I'll use this as my wrap up. Here's the thing. I want you to think that on your shoulders, okay? So I'm gonna do, over here if I look over here, this is like, you know, the good thoughts that I have. You can do it, Elizabeth. It's worth it. You're going to, you know, you're going to have success. You're going to be able to make it happen. And over here, I want you to think, you'll never get it done. You always say that all the time. You always say that you're going to do it, but then you never do it. Like, this is like the negative, right? This is also mediocrity. And mediocrity is also a killer. You see, one of the biggest reasons we deal with mediocrity, please hear me, is we fear failure. I'm going to say it again. One of the biggest reasons why we deal with mediocrity, settling, it's okay, it's just enough, is because we fear failure. And you are absolutely right. You got to do it afraid. The biggest way to overcome, to have victory from fear, is to act. So here's the thing. There's really just a small smidgen of difference, okay? We all start with fear, all right? But the way the fear cycle works is that, let's see, if I'm going, let's see, this is my right, which is to your left. Anyway, I'll probably not get it right. But at the top of the cycle is fear, okay? And when you're going through the fear cycle, you have a choice. If you choose not to act in the face of fear, what happens is in the lower portion of the cycle, you have inexperience. And because you don't gain any experience, it causes you to feel like you're not able. You feel like you have an inability to do what is necessary. And guess what? The fear grows. Do you know what the difference between being stuck in the fear cycle and actually having victory over fear is? That you still have fear, but you act in spite of it. And by acting in spite of it, down here in the experiences of the cycle, you have both positive and negative experience. Now, that's right. You're going to have good things happen. You're going to have negative things happen. The key is you're gaining experience. And by gaining experience, you learn you are able to do it. That thing which you had feared was false evidence appearing real. And by choosing to act and choosing to gain experience and choosing to, choosing to, I guess, deal with both the positive and the negatives, you gain that ability, and that is what takes you out of the fear cycle, and you can actually experience victory in your life and in your business. This is huge, huge, okay? So fear of failure is what causes us to deal with the mediocrity. We have to fight against mediocrity by identifying where we have the fear. Identify. Literally, I want you to ask yourself, what is a legitimate fear that is holding me back? That's another question that you can answer as a result of having watched this. What is a legitimate fear that is holding you back? It might not be anything extreme. I mean, it really might not be anything extreme, but what is it? What is a legitimate fear that is holding you back? Because you need to identify that so that you can then choose to act in spite of it so that you can gain the experience that you need. Here's something that I think is important. We need to think about our fears logically rather than just emotionally. Because emotions can be deceiving, and so it's important that we are thinking, we are willing to approach our fears logically. And yes, to your point, Beth, I see that there. Step out in faith. Faith over fear. Faith over fear. And when you begin to place faith over fear, that means that you step out and you realize that if I step out in faith and I act, God, this is my belief, God can take whatever the experience, positive or negative, and He can work it together for my good because I love Him and I am called according to His purpose. So if I know that God can take whatever I experience and turn it for good in my life and in my business, then that strengthens my confidence. That helps me to be able to approach that fear with an even greater willingness to act. So faith over fear, that is important. All right, so that take action, this is the last thing. Take action. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's acting in spite of fear. It's acting even when you're afraid. It's choosing to open your mouth and do it even when you are uncertain of the outcome. But when you are willing to act in spite of your fear, okay, and you trust that God is able to turn whatever that experience looks like into something for your good, then it makes such a huge difference in you gaining that confidence and overcoming the fear cycle. So let's recap. Where are you procrastinating when you know you should be taking action? Have you identified what is that one thing you know you should have been doing, you should be doing, but you haven't done, that tonight you say, enough is enough. I will take action tonight. I will set a goal, I will create a deadline, and I will do something before my head hits the pillow in order to move myself towards that goal. One thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is send it to your upline or send it to your sister in Devoted, that will help to hold you accountable. Super huge, makes a big, big difference when someone else is holding you accountable. So I want to encourage you to do that. My clients that I'm coaching, I send them my schedule so they see that I'm doing exactly what I'm asking them to do. It makes a huge, huge difference in their, in their perspective, and it holds me accountable to say I better do as much as I can to actually stick to my plan. And so that's important. Remember, it's progress over perfection. Okay, and so as you think about where are you procrastinating and what type of procrastination that you have, just straight up procrastination, creative avoidance, or priority dilution, identify those and decide tonight that you're going to say no to mediocrity and you're going to say yes to the income producing activities that make a difference in your business. Because the common denominator of people who are successful are that they take action now, that they fight the fear, they exhibit courage, they choose to act in spite of the fear, they gain experience, they trust that, I believe, for those of us who are Christ followers, we can trust that God will turn that for our good. He will give us the confidence that we need when we trust Him enough to step out, and we're going to choose to take action now. Okay, it is November 23rd. November 23rd. I'm looking at my calendar. That's what's on my wall over here. You legitimately, from today, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 weeks left in 2020. Are you already saying, well, it's just, it's kind of an odd year, and I'll just do enough? Mediocrity. Or will you say that tonight I am deciding to take action now to change what my life, my schedule, my business looks like? Because you have 5 weeks to make things happen. And so let me just end with, so that you know that I am not asking you to do something that I myself am not already doing. Okay, and a couple of you know this, but this is really, I'm just now beginning to really share it. But part of what God asked me to do in taking action now, in listening to Him, was I will be bringing my season as women's minister at Cottonwood Creek Church to a close, and I will be pursuing, of course, continuing to serve with Fred and Fred Schatz, and I'll still have my devoted business, and I'm now building a coaching business through Southwestern Coaching. And he could not have made it more clear. Elizabeth, it is time to take action. And so I'm in the process of that transition now. And so just for you to be able to see, let me see if I can make this happen. All right, so I'm turning this up for a reason. Okay, you see this right here? This is my schedule that you're seeing right here, right? And I can see that it's kind of tough for you because, so let me do it this way, okay? That's this week. I wanted you to see, and there's other things on there. There you are, right there, devoted. But these are previous. This was like, let me go here. All right. So that's what it looks like. So I decided to take action, to change my habits, to really manage my time in a way that was going to transform what we were doing. Fred and I have big goals. We've done it before, but God has just said it's time to take a step of faith, and that's what we're doing. And so I want to encourage you that I'm not asking you to do something that I myself am not already doing. And it just makes me that much more passionate about sharing with you, because now I get to hang out with my devoted sisters and see how God is using this business for your success. And I'm also getting to coach insurance agents and roofers who want to grow their business, and financial planners, and so many different industries where I'm sharing exactly what I shared with you. That content that I gave you tonight is content that I've been sharing with people who are producing $1 million+ a year. This stuff works. So let's get to it, ladies. Let's decide where we're procrastinating. Let's say we're going to take action, and then before your head hits the pillow tonight, you be sure to do one thing, at least one thing, that moves you closer to your goal. All right, everybody, take care. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak into your life. I do not take that lightly. I encourage you, finish the year strong so that you can start 2021 fast. Have a great evening.